Hey everyone, yes, we do have a small project that needs to be reviewed. Specifically, it involves the redesign of the riding arena that was previously set up on a temporary basis. Then we made that one 2 years ago. Back then, for various reasons, only as a temporary solution, as I said, with wood chips. That means we did the earthwork, then rolled everything flat, properly compacted it, then had the brilliant idea to put wood chips on top, and since then, my relationship with my wife has suffered, because I always heard that she can't ride, because the water is underneath, and it doesn't dry out. So that means it is time to make the entire thing a bit more professional. After all, since I am with EQU-GRID and we produce Paddock plates there, it is obvious that we will now do the entire thing with Paddock plates. So that I know exactly what I'm talking about in the future, we are now doing what is called the minimal infrastructure. I will now try to explain what that means in this video. Yes, what has happened up to this point? Yesterday, we actually did nothing else but remove the entire wood chips that were spread on the square as best as we could, restore the slope, because that has, of course, suffered, because there was water inside. Subsequently, we compacted it, utilizing a smaller road roller, but naturally, we immediately encountered a problem when we attempted to spread the wood chips, as the first truck became stuck in the process. That means we didn't even need the small excavator at the back for pushing. We needed a big tractor at the front for pulling, and only then were we able to get it out again. The initial plan was to use a compacted surface consisting solely of gravel with a height of approximately 8 to 10 centimeters and a grain size ranging from 8 to 11 millimeters. After the truck got stuck while driving out, we decided to make a strip where the substructure is higher, at least as a temporary solution to the situation we were facing with the truck being stuck. I hope you can see it on the video now. This is basically just one lane where the deliveries for the material will take place. So the excavator is now exactly in this lane. That means there we give approximately, put in 20 to 25 centimeters of gravel material, compact it properly, and then the heavier trucks can drive in and dump the material there. The excavator then distributes it. Yes, that is the current status. Tomorrow, the excavator will continue working on the task. Small addition for everyone who might also be considering doing something with wood chips. 2 years ago, before the whole story in Ukraine with the energy prices really started, we paid 2,000 euros for the area behind us, for the wood chips, a friendship price back then. Now that we have made the decision to reconstruct the entire thing, I had to inquire somewhere about what to do with the material we have. Nobody desires that. Nobody is able to make use of it because it has become mixed with the soil partially underneath. So I had to leave that. You inquire at the disposal company nearby, and they wanted 3 times the original cost of 2,000 euros for disposal costs by now. So think carefully about it if you have the idea to build inexpensively with wood chips. Believe me, it is not the most expensive, but rather an expensive solution. And now, making their grand entrance, we have the 3 princesses who devour the entire thing. Let us warmly welcome Jacky, Schoko, and Fritzi as they grace us with their presence. By the way, there is also the remaining excavation which was brought here. Yes, that's how it looks now. Always important to say, yes, you can probably construct riding arenas for well over 100,000 euros, perhaps even more. That is, as I previously mentioned, simply the small private riding arena for my spouse, for my child, and for another daughter. That means, of course, we are already trying to build the whole thing as cheaply as possible. However, now, after this wood chips experience, to do the whole thing in a manner that truly makes it more or less an all-weather riding arena. However, we still naturally pay extreme attention to the costs. That is what the entire thing looks like at the present moment. Abbreviated. Here you can observe this lane once more, which we actually solely require for unloading the trucks that transport goods to and from the warehouse. Everything else follows. Each new day brings new opportunities. The way for unloading is prepared thus far. We are fully ready for whatever lies ahead. There is now, as you can see, gravel inside. was rolled, compacted, and now the gravel is being added, in this particular situation with a grain size of 8-11 millimeters, and this represents the minimum substructure required. That signifies at present we are incorporating an approximate amount of 8 to 10 centimeters of additional height of gravel in that specific area. Then the Paddock torten are placed and filled with a certain amount of finer gravel, which is likely to be between 4 and 8, depending on the current availability. Ultimately, when all is said and done, there is also the presence of another aspect on the top. The driver, who is behind the wheel, is highly motivated and determined to succeed in their endeavors. Super Wheels has been completely caught and apprehended without any chance of escape or evasion. Let's take an additional path with 20 centimeters of faster compaction. At the back, there is the diligent man operating the excavator. It is always extremely important to have an earth builder that you can rely on, someone who understands his job and carries out his responsibilities diligently. And he distributes the material, i.e. the fuel, now over the entire surface at the desired height of approximately... Still the area where the plastic is, where it was just distributed. The plans were closed. Now... As you can see, it is relatively fast. He has been at work for approximately 2 to 3 hours now. Therefore, when the excavator driver arrives at the site, it is actually a relatively quick and easy task to complete, requiring minimal effort and time. At this point in time, it is simply a matter of ensuring that the entire thing is organized in the most accurate manner possible. This is how it looks now. It's progressing. As you can see, the rough leveling is already in the finishing stage. Now it's about the decision, do we go over it again with the small roller, but without vibration, so only initially, to compact it more. And essentially, the fine leveling will be carried out, but I will do it manually using a large rake, and then place the plates on the top. Why do we even take records? Yes, what you always see with places that are constructed without plates is that essentially after a relatively short time, the material, so the coarser material, comes from bottom to top. What you absolutely do not need is when coarse gravel material is unexpectedly present inside the significantly more expensive riding arena facility. I hope you can at least identify it in the video, but the preliminary planning is already quite satisfactory thanks to laser therapy, but not anymore thanks to the excellent work of the data operator. At this moment, the main objective is to finalize the substructure, which is the primary focus of the current stage of the project. And then we should be able to utilize the record once more in the near future and then lay it down. I'd say, let's review the hurdles again this afternoon. Otherwise, the weekend is our time to rummage. So, another interim report. So, everything was rolled, so a little more compacted, climbed. That's how it looks. The Paddock plates from EQU-GRID have already arrived by now. Now it's mainly about getting rid of the lanes. I do that with the rake, and then we can start with the cheerful installation. Yes guys, here's the next update. As you can see, the plates are completely laid. We had to cheat a little on the edge and had to cut individual plates there so that it fits approximately, because the rear embankment is not completely straight. However, it is not a significant issue. Overall, we will have an approximate estimation. It took approximately about 8 hours to lay down, mainly as a couple, at least approximately. The start is actually the most difficult part because you have to establish a straight line somewhere. After the fence was supposed to stay with us, and that was exactly the case, we naturally had to align ourselves with the fence. That made it a bit difficult, as the material was then slightly elevated. You can also see it when you look inside, that it simply turns up a little on the edge, but that is not a problem in our case, because there will be base woods as side boundaries, so that means you won't see anything anymore. Otherwise, it looks like this now. Everything works fine, everything is fine. Tomorrow, fine gravel will be added, so 4/8 grain size will be distributed with the excavator, with a 5-ton excavator, and then we'll see how it goes. What I forgot to say earlier, you might see it now in the video. I hope at least that you can recognize it, that we have different colors, darker areas, brighter areas. Why is that so? What does that mean? We deliberately chose the B-grade product. The B goods can be distinguished by color differences. It is our lowest quality that we produce in small quantities, collect again, and then have a clearance sale of the B goods. Crucial for us because we also desire to witness firsthand whether the B goods can perform equivalently to the A goods, and we have full confidence in that. Yes, but that's how you can recognize that you have different colors in there. What do you have to pay attention to when laying it? It is logical to thoroughly mix them together, as there may also be slight deviations in size that need to be accounted for during the process. Then we are talking about 4 plates, which are always pre-assembled on a square meter of a few millimeters per square meter. That's all. And if you mix it as best as you can, then you have 0.0 problems there, and everything is visible. You only see it until the area is filled, and then it is no longer visible to the naked eye. So, at this moment, it is the 3rd day with the excavator, the 4th day in total, if I am not mistaken in my counting. Today, only the filling of the plates with gravel is remaining, in quotation marks. We utilize 4/8 split at this location, as it fits perfectly. He is biting into the records in there. I will try to get them to put on again. I believe you can observe that quite clearly in this location. That is the way it appears. No further actions will be taken. The excavator is a small 5-ton excavator. He always ensured to prepare his lane thoroughly before driving on it to ensure safety. And from there, he distributes the gravel. We started at 7 o'clock today. Now it's just after 11:30 a.m. In a span of 5 hours, the thing is consumed completely. What is the subsequent course of action? I will then refine it a bit more so that these differences, which one might see now, where sometimes half a centimeter of excess material is present, I will still balance that manually, and then we're already through there again. Then only round logs come all around, which later enclose the sand so that nothing gets mixed up, and so that it is a bit protected. And in a week, the riding sand itself is probably supposed to come. Then it will be installed again with the excavator, meaning distributed. Estimated to be around 90 tons roughly. Yes. And then I believe there is nothing standing in the way of the pleasure of excitement. So the region is entirely filled. Every single thing worked incredibly well. The entire area was functioning perfectly without any issues. The small excavator has approximately, it took 5 hours. The material ran out in the end, which is why we decided to use this lighter gravel in the back, as I mentioned before. But it is from the same gravel pit, and now it is definitely possible to drive on it, not only with BKWs, but also with heavy machinery, fin tractors, trucks, and other types of equipment. Everything is wonderful. Now comes the lateral edging, in my case the round logs, so that you have a clean finish, because as you can see, the back slope doesn't look presentable. But it'll get better, it'll take a little while. And then, once that task is completed, proceed to add sand, yes, and commence the firing process without any delay or hesitation. It continues. The round timber was delivered for the edging for the side. This is the plan for today. Today is a holiday. The weather is a bit unpleasant because it is early, already in the morning. However, yes, it is still a nice job. So, hopefully the final day has finally arrived now on the project. The sand has already been distributed to a small extent. I commenced the entire process with a moment of shock or fright as the initial truck drove a bit too far in reverse, causing a sense of unease. You can remember, we have drawn an extra reinforced lane there, exactly for this case, and he has come a little further back. And then it established certain records. That is naturally extremely bitter in the beginning, but it does not provide any help or assistance in any way. It's not as bad as it looks at first glance. That means you can fix it relatively well again. What do we do there? We simply knock off the connecting hooks here sideways. One always puts them in such a way that the connection hooks point in the direction in which one desires to continue laying. That implies I merely cut them off with a knife. Then you can actually eliminate them in a neat manner, and yes, establish the entire thing once more, place it back in, and it is satisfactory, so not too unfavorable. It just took 2 extra hours, but it doesn't hold up the whole thing, so everything is fine. We have now reached about half. We need 90 tons for the 750 square meters, which have now finally become. We made the saddle enclosure over the weekend. Yes, I'm looking forward to when everything is finished. But my girls are probably even more excited than I am. Therefore, today marks the conclusion of the project. The Raptor has been fully completed and no further work is required at this stage. Apart from the small mishap today with the truck, with the plates, with the lifted one, everything went well. I have now manually tightened it up with the calculator in principle. There are already a few irregularities present inside the system. Maybe you can see that here on video, but not bad for first throw now. Of course, it's not built in with laser now. What? Is there anything else to say? First of all, I hope that the video helps when it comes to the topic of soil stabilization. It doesn't have to be the riding arena, but the setup is always relatively similar now, even if it's just about paddocks, B-docks, etc. goes. In fact, it is always about making adjustments to the varying thicknesses of the different layers in the process of production. What else is important for me to say? I think I didn't mention that earlier in the video with the B-dock records with the problem. Not a single one of the plates is broken. They have all been installed exactly the same way again. So except for those that I then naturally separated the connection hooks with the chisel. But in all other cases, they were all rebuilt one-to-one. None were bent, broken, or damaged in any other way. Therefore, this continues to serve as a clear indication for me of the tremendous material quality that we consistently generate at that particular location, which further emphasizes the exceptional standards we uphold in our production processes. In relation to the subject of sand, we have already had a discussion about the fact that we possess a washed quartz sand in this location. In my particular circumstance, it is sourced from the vicinity of Milk. There are now 90 tons in it, approximately, 60 cubic meters, approximately. The filling height is 8 centimeters. At this point, I genuinely believe that after 1 or 2 days, during which I still intend to let the whole thing settle a bit, it will be ready for the girls to ride on. My hope is that everything fits perfectly and they can enjoy it to the fullest. I hope they are content. Likewise, I am too. I am eagerly anticipating the release of the next video, excited to see what it has in store. Let yourself be surprised on what topic. It would make me happy if you give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Otherwise, see you, hear you. Your Peter from EQU-GRID Bodensysteme.